South Africa, a beautiful country with diverse people, rich cultures, and stunning landscapes, is a land of contrasts. But beneath its beauty, it was once scarred by the brutal system of apartheid. This system, which lasted for decades, brutally separated people based on their race, creating deep divisions and immense suffering. Black people were treated as lesser beings. They were denied the basic right to vote, their voices silenced in their own land. They couldn't live or work where they wanted. The government enforced strict pass laws, controlling their movements and confining them to designated areas. Life was a daily struggle against injustice, with constant surveillance and oppression. The resilience of the people was tested every day. Imagine being told where to live, work, and even sit on a bus, all because of your race. This was the harsh reality for millions. That was the reality under apartheid, a system designed to dehumanize and control. But the spirit of the people could not be crushed. They rose up against this terrible system, demanding justice and equality. Among the many brave souls who fought for freedom was a young man named Nelson Mandela. His journey was one of immense courage and sacrifice. He would become a symbol of hope for millions, embodying the struggle and the dream of a free and equal South Africa. His legacy continues to inspire the world. Nelson Mandela was born in a small village in South Africa. This village, Kunu, was nestled in the rolling hills of the Eastern Cape. It was here that Mandela's journey began, surrounded by the traditions and stories of his people. The values he learned in his early years would shape his vision for a just society. He believed in justice and equality from a young age. Even as a child, Mandela was curious and determined. His teachers noticed his keen sense of fairness and his ability to stand up for what was right. These traits set him apart and hinted at the leader he would become. As a young lawyer, he saw the cruelty of apartheid firsthand. Working in the courts, Mandela witnessed the harsh realities of racial segregation and discrimination. He defended those who were unjustly treated, using his legal skills to challenge the oppressive system. His experiences in the courtroom fueled his resolve to fight for change. Mandela joined the African National Congress, or ANC. The ANC was a beacon of hope for many South Africans, advocating for equal rights and justice. Mandela quickly rose through the ranks, becoming a key figure in the movement. His leadership and vision inspired many to join the cause. The ANC fought against the apartheid government's racist laws. They organized protests, strikes, and acts of civil disobedience. Mandela played a crucial role in these efforts, often putting himself at great risk. His commitment to the struggle was unwavering, and he became a symbol of resistance. Mandela wasn't afraid to speak out against injustice. His speeches were powerful and moving, resonating with people from all walks of life. He spoke of a future where all South Africans could live in harmony, free from oppression. His words gave hope to the oppressed and challenged the status quo. He organized protests and boycotts. These actions were not without consequences. Mandela and his fellow activists faced arrests, beatings, and imprisonment. Yet, they remained steadfast in their mission. Each protest, each boycott, brought them one step closer to their goal of a free and equal society. He raised his voice for those who were silenced. Mandela understood the power of the media and used it to amplify the voices of the marginalized. He gave interviews, wrote articles, and made public appearances, always advocating for justice and equality. His message was clear. The fight for freedom was far from over. His courage and determination made him a powerful leader. Mandela's ability to inspire and mobilize people was unmatched. He led by example, showing that true leadership comes from a place of compassion and integrity. His unwavering commitment to his principles earned him the respect and admiration of millions. People listened when he spoke. His words carried weight and authority. Mandela's speeches were not just about rhetoric. They were a call to action. He urged people to stand up for their rights and to fight for a better future. His vision of a united South Africa resonated deeply with the masses. They were ready to follow him in the fight for freedom. Mandela's leadership was a beacon of hope in a time of darkness. He showed that with courage, determination, and unity, change was possible. His legacy continues to inspire generations to stand up for justice and equality. Nelson Mandela believed in fighting for what's right, even when it's dangerous. He and his comrades in the ANC knew they had to take a stand against the apartheid government. They started using peaceful protests, but the government responded with violence. Mandela knew that peaceful protest alone wasn't enough. He and the ANC formed a group called Umkhonto we Sizwe, or MK. MK carried out acts of sabotage against government buildings. They targeted symbols of apartheid. Their goal was to disrupt the system, but they were careful not to harm anyone. The government was furious. They arrested Mandela and his comrades. The world watched as Mandela stood trial for his actions. He was sentenced to life in prison in 1964. This was a dark day for South Africa and the world. But Mandela's spirit was not broken. From his prison cell, he became a symbol of hope. International pressure mounted on the South African government to free Mandela and end apartheid. The world was waking up to the injustice happening in South Africa. Section 5. The Price of Freedom. Mandela spent 27 years in prison. He endured hard labor and separation from his loved ones. But his spirit never wavered. He continued to fight against apartheid from behind bars. His courage inspired millions around the world. During his imprisonment, the world rallied behind Mandela. People from all walks of life demanded his release and the end of apartheid. Sanctions were imposed on South Africa, putting pressure on the government. Mandela's sacrifice ignited a global movement for justice. Section 6. A global symbol of hope. The world recognized Mandela's sacrifice. He became a global icon. People marched in the streets, sang songs, and wore Free Mandela t-shirts. His story touched hearts and inspired action. Mandela's imprisonment had the opposite effect of what the apartheid government intended. Instead of silencing him, it amplified his voice. He became a symbol of resistance against oppression. His story resonated with people fighting injustice everywhere. Section 7. Walking out of prison, walking into history. After 27 long years, Nelson Mandela walked free from prison on February 11, 1990. It was a momentous day. The world watched in awe as he emerged, hand in hand with his wife, Winnie. Mandela's release was a victory for justice and equality. It marked a turning point in the fight against apartheid. The world celebrated his freedom, knowing that a new chapter was beginning in South Africa. Section 8. The Rainbow Nation. Mandela's leadership was crucial in the transition to a new South Africa. He chose forgiveness over revenge, knowing that healing the wounds of the past was essential. He worked tirelessly to unite a nation divided by decades of racial segregation. Mandela's vision was of a rainbow nation, a South Africa where people of all races could live together in harmony. He knew that achieving this would require compromise and reconciliation. He led with compassion and understanding, urging his fellow citizens to embrace the future together. Section 9. Mandela's presidency. Forgiving the past, building the future. In 1994, South Africa held its first democratic elections, a monumental event that marked the end of decades of institutionalized racial segregation and oppression under apartheid. Nelson Mandela, the man who had spent 27 years in prison for his fight against apartheid, became the country's first black president. His election was a beacon of hope and a symbol of the triumph of justice and equality. It was a moment that resonated around the world, capturing the hearts and minds of people everywhere. The global community watched in awe as South Africa took its first steps towards a new era of democracy and reconciliation. As president, Mandela focused on healing the deep divisions of the past. He understood that the wounds of apartheid ran deep and that the nation needed to come together to move forward. To address these wounds, he established the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, led by Archbishop Desmond Tutu. This commission was a groundbreaking effort to confront the atrocities of the past. It gave victims of apartheid a platform to share their stories, to voice their pain and suffering, and to seek acknowledgement and justice for the wrongs they had endured. It also provided perpetrators a chance to seek forgiveness, to confess their crimes, and to ask for reconciliation. This process was not just about justice, but about healing and understanding. Mandela believed that confronting the past was crucial for building a better future. He envisioned a South Africa where all its citizens, regardless of race, could live together in harmony and equality. His leadership and vision set the foundation for a nation striving to overcome its painful history and to build a future based on mutual respect and shared humanity. Section 10. A legacy of hope and inspiration. Nelson Mandela's legacy extends far beyond South Africa. His unwavering belief in equality, his commitment to justice, and his extraordinary capacity for forgiveness continue to inspire the world. He showed us the power of one person to make a difference. Mandela's life reminds us that even in the face of immense adversity, hope can triumph. His message of peace, reconciliation, and equality continues to resonate, urging us to build a world where injustice and discrimination have no place.